There's a running joke that Harrison Ford is Hollywood's grumpiest man alive. He'll roll his eyes at a soundtrack, sigh through an interview, and somehow still land the biggest laugh in the room. He created two of the most iconic characters in movie history, Han Solo and Indiana Jones, and he still acts like every red carpet is a mild inconvenience. That combination is exactly why the internet can't get enough of him. Today we're counting down his most savage, most deadpan, and most unexpectedly hilarious moments. Stick around, because the broccoli story near the end is worth the wait. Let's start with the obvious. Ford has now rebooted basically every franchise he's ever touched: Star Wars, Blade Runner, Indiana Jones. So when a reporter asked if reviving old classics was some kind of life mission, Ford didn't sugarcoat it. No hesitation. No spin. Just brutal honesty delivered with a straight face. Which, as you're about to see, is basically his entire personality. Nobody understands the Ford deadpan better than his old Star Wars co-star, Mark Hamill. Asked what it was like working with a young Harrison Ford, Hamill told a story from right after filming the trash compactor scene. He was worried his hair wasn't messy enough for the moment. And the real Ford's reaction? A quiet nod of approval, like Hamill had passed some kind of test. Ford has also apparently developed a reputation on set for something a little more mischievous. Raiding the craft services table. Actress Jessica Williams found this out firsthand, and somehow, without saying a single word, Ford managed to crack her up completely. And when someone asked how the two of them bonded on their action-packed Indiana Jones shoot, Ford's answer was pure deadpan mischief, something about meeting her on a street corner for the price of a drink. The room lost it. Ford has never pretended he does this for the art alone. When asked about his reaction to getting the call for a new Blade Runner film, his answer was refreshingly simple. And when a reporter pushed further, asking how he silences the part of his brain that worries about looking ridiculous in over-the-top roles like Red Hulk, Ford didn't miss a beat. That's exactly what the paycheck is for. Ford is also a master of giving you absolutely nothing. When someone brought up Luke Skywalker being left off a movie poster, Ford calmly explained there simply wasn't room, and when pushed for the real reason, he shut the conversation down instantly. Then came the trivia challenge. A fan launched into a detailed history of the exact leather, length, and manufacturer of the original bullwhip from the first Indiana Jones film, before finally asking what color the tip was. If you've ever wondered whether Ford is sick of hearing his own movie scores everywhere he goes, the answer is yes. He's joked that the music follows him constantly, even claiming it played while he was getting a colonoscopy. Which somehow led directly into one of the most unhinged questions he's ever been asked on live television: whether he's ever, gotten intimate while one of his film scores was playing. Even the host looked shocked that Ford just answered. Ford's dry humor gets so subtle that people genuinely can't tell when he's joking. Case in point, an interviewer once asked if he was Canadian, apparently mistaking his deadpan delivery for the style of famous Canadian comedians. Then things got even better when the same interviewer casually mentioned the Oscars, and reminded Ford that he'd actually been nominated for Best Actor for Witness back in 1986, and hadn't bothered to show up. On a group panel, Ford let his co-stars do most of the talking for a while. Then, when someone finally handed him the microphone, one of his castmates couldn't resist calling him out for wasting the moment. Classic Ford, technically present, barely participating, somehow still the funniest person in the scene. Fight choreography exists so nobody actually gets hurt on set. Ford apparently missed that memo once during a Blade Runner scene, where he ended up actually punching his co-star. No apology tour. Just a shrug and a joke about it decades later. Here's the moment that had fans convinced Ford was being genuinely cruel, until they learned the whole thing was a setup. A fan brought out a massive, hand-built Lego Millennium Falcon, worth thousands of dollars and 60 hours of work, and asked Ford to sign it. It turned out the show's host had planted the whole story. Ford wasn't being mean, he was in on the joke the entire time. Somebody once tried to pull off a card trick in Ford's own house. It did not go the way they hoped. Instead of amazement, Ford just kicked him out. Politely. When a reporter openly flirted with him on camera, complimenting his physique from a shirtless scene, Ford's response was somehow both humble and hilarious. And when someone assumed all his stunt work must be exhausting, Ford was quick to set the record straight: the real stunts are handled by professional stunt performers, he just does the physical acting that won't derail production if he gets hurt. And finally, the moment that might be the most purely, chaotically funny thing on this list. Ford told a long, winding joke about a grocery store worker being pestered by a customer looking for broccoli, which spirals into a spelling test involving the words cat, dog, and finally, broccoli, only for the punchline to reveal there's no broccoli at all. It makes zero sense on paper. In person, it kills. But underneath all the sarcasm and the eye rolls, there are moments that show why fans love him so much in the first place. When one fan simply thanked him for the Indiana Jones films and told him what they meant to her, Ford dropped the act completely. Because that's the real secret behind Harrison Ford. He'll roll his eyes at the fame, joke about the money, and pretend none of it matters to him, but every time it counts, he shows up. If this compilation made you laugh, hit subscribe for more legendary Hollywood moments, and let us know in the comments which Harrison Ford joke was your favorite.